Hi, second grade. Today is Tuesday, April 28th, and it's nice to be with you today. And one thing I really like about Tuesdays and Wednesdays is that I often make my phone calls to you on those days, and I get to talk to you and your families, and it's just great to connect and to hear your voice. Now, sometimes I call and maybe you're outside playing, or maybe you went somewhere and you missed my call. So if you do, please give me a call back. I'll always leave a message, but I would love if you call me back because it's very important that we have a chance to talk to each other, and I can help you if you need help in any way. And I just want to be there to help you and to support you during this distance learning time. So feel free to call me anytime if you have questions or if you just want to catch up. I'm always here for you. Now it's time for us to get comfortable and start our reading for today. I'm looking at the Matrix, and I see that we are reading chapters 7 and 8 today of Lions at Lunchtime. So let's get comfortable. I have my blanket. You know I like to use my blanket when I read. Keeps my legs warm. So chapters 7 and 8. And yesterday you drew a prediction, and I'm excited to see if your predictions were correct or if something else in the book surprises us. Here we go. Chapter 7 is called Hi There. The forest was cooler than the sunny plains. It was filled with shadows and bird calls. "Where are you?" Jack shouted. "Here," said Annie. He found her in a thick glade. Bright rays streamed between the trees. Green leaves and vines swayed in the dappled light. The little gray bird sat in a tree, twittering at them. "Yuck, what's that?" said Annie. She pointed at a round, brown thing hanging from a low branch. Bees buzzed around it. "If that's her nest, it's a pretty weird nest," said Annie. "That's not a nest," said Jack. "It's a beehive. Don't you see the bees?" "Yikes," said Annie. She stepped back from the tree. I would step back from a beehive too. But the little bird darted at the beehive and pecked at it. "What's she doing?" said Annie. The bird kept pecking at the hive. Any idea why she might be doing that? "I don't know. Maybe she's as nuts as you," said Jack. "Look her up in the book," said Annie. "See if it says she's nuts." "Are you kidding?" said Jack. "That nutty bird isn't going to be in this book." "Jack, just look." Jack opened his Africa book. He kept turning the pages. Just as he thought, there was no gray bird in the book. "Forget it," he said. "Keep looking," said Annie. Jack turned one more page, and there it was. A little gray bird, a beehive, and a tall painted warrior with a spear. "I don't believe this," said Jack. Then he read aloud. Now here comes the part of the book that's in heavy bold so that you know it's full of facts. "This bird is called a honey guide. It's both a friend and a helper to the Maasai people, an African tribe known for their fierce fighting skills and bravery." Now, can you think back to when I showed you a picture of a Maasai warrior? Do you remember what he looked like? What color did he wear? Do you remember I told you that he wore red to represent bravery and strength? "Hi, honey guide," Annie called to the bird. "I knew you were important." Jack kept reading. "The honey guide leads a Maasai tribesperson to a beehive. The bird waits for him or her to scatter the bees and take the honey. Then the bird feasts on the honeycomb." Have you ever heard of a honey guide before? To be honest, I hadn't, so I'm learning something along with you. "That's cool," said Jack. "They work together like the zebras and wildebeests and gazelles. Remember, they're connected." "Yeah," said Annie, "and she wants us to be her helpers. We have to scatter the bees and leave her the honeycomb." "How do we do that?" said Jack. He looked back at the book. It didn't say how. Well, maybe we could wave those weeds at them, said Annie. She pointed to some bright green plants that looked like giant fans. Do you see those in the picture? Jack put his book and backpack down. He and Annie pulled up the weeds. They waved them near the tree, and the bees scattered. Ooh, I'd be a little scared to do that. Next, Jack grabbed the tree branch and jiggled it. The hive fell to the ground and broke open. Annie stooped and stuck her finger into the golden honeycomb. Yummy, she said when she tasted the honey. Try it. Jack stuck his finger in the honeycomb. 2. He licked off the golden honey. It was the sweetest honey he had ever tasted. Now the honey guide can get to her honeycomb, said Annie. Yeah, but she'd better hurry before the bees come back, said Jack. It's weird, said Annie. Honey's so sweet and good, but to get it, you have to go past a lot of dangerous bees. Oh, man, whispered Jack. That's it. That's what? Said Annie. Jack said Morgan's riddle. Now read the riddle with me. I'm the color of gold and as sweet as can be, but beware of the danger that's all around me. What am I? Remember the riddle that Morgan Le Fay gave them? Do you think they know the answer now? I get it, Annie whispered. Honey. Honey, said Jack, nodding and smiling. That's it. We've answered Morgan's riddle. Let's go home. He stood up to leave. He gasped. Standing in the shadows was a tall man with a spear and a curved sword hanging from his belt. His face was painted in fierce, bright colors. Jack knew at once what he was. Say it with me. A Maasai warrior. Hi there, Annie said in a small voice. Now, do you think the Maasai warrior is going to be kind, or is he going to be mean and angry? Let's find out. Chapter 8 is called Yam. The warrior stared back at Jack and Annie. We were helping one of your honey guides, said Annie. The warrior was as still as a statue. We didn't mean to steal anything, Jack said. In fact, it's all yours. We've had enough. Lots of good honey still there, Annie said, smiling. The warrior narrowed his eyes. Can you narrow your eyes? Is he angry? Jack wondered. Oh, I'm sorry we were trespassing, said Jack. We come in peace. In fact, we bring gifts. He picked up his backpack and held it out to the warrior. The warrior still didn't move. This? Jack held up his book. Nothing. Jack reached into his pack. He pulled out the big jar of peanut butter. Peanut butter! He pulled out the loaf of bread. Bread! Hey, hey! How about a peanut butter and honey sandwich? Yum, Annie said, watching the warrior. The warrior stared at the food. We'll show you, said Jack. As Jack unwrapped the bread, his hands shook. Now, the author doesn't tell us why Jack's hands are shaking, but you can infer that means you take the clues to figure something out. So do you know why his hands are shaking? I think it's because he's scared. Annie opened the jar. We don't have anything to spread it with, she said. Use your fingers, said Jack. Excuse me, Annie said to the warrior. I have to use my fingers, but they're pretty clean. An elephant just do it, Annie, said Jack. Okay. She spread the peanut butter onto a slice of bread with her fingers. At the same time, Jack spread the honey from the beehive on another slice. Can you picture this? Jack and Annie put their pieces of bread together. Ta-da! Said Annie, handing the sandwich to the warrior. Look at the picture. The warrior's probably very confused. The warrior took the sandwich, but he didn't eat it. He just looked at it. "Let's make sandwiches for us too," Jack said, "so he doesn't have to eat alone." Now you probably figured out that the Maasai warrior would speak a different language than Jack and Annie, so they're trying to help him understand. They quickly made 2 more sandwiches. "See, like this," said Annie. She bit into her sandwich. Yum. Jack took a bite too. He said. It was really good. "This is called a picnic," said Annie. They ate their sandwiches in silence. When they finished, Jack screwed the lid back on the peanut butter jar. "Not bad, huh?" he said. The warrior smiled. He had a kind, dignified smile. Jack and Annie smiled back at him. Then the warrior turned gracefully and vanished into the trees. "Oh man," said Jack. Part of him wanted to follow the silent warrior through the shadowy forest. "Ready?" Annie said softly. Jack nodded. Annie started to go. "Wait," said Jack. He put away the peanut butter and bread. "We're going back to the treehouse, right? We're not going to do anything silly like rescue anything or chase birds, right?" "Those things aren't silly," said Annie. "Don't forget that the bird gave us the answer to the riddle." "All right," said Jack. He looked at the little honey guide. She was on the ground, pecking at the honeycomb. "Thanks," Jack said to the bird. "Have a good feast," said Annie. Jack put on his pack. Then he and Annie started out of the forest. When they passed the pond, they saw the elephant still splashing in the water. He lifted his trunk. He seemed to be waving at them. "See ya!" Annie shouted, waving back. They rounded the bend in the river, then started through the tall grass. As they walked back toward the treehouse, they saw the wildebeests in the distance. There were still some crossing the river. They saw a family of zebras grazing together. They saw lone giraffes walking from tree to tree, eating the leaves. And they saw a bunch of lions sleeping in the shade of a tree. The same tree that the treehouse was in. "Whoops," said Annie. Jack's heart gave a jump. Now what does that mean he's feeling? My heart would give a jump too if I saw lions that close. "So there they are," he said. So it's kind of a cliffhanger again. You have to wonder what's going to happen next when they get close to the lions. So what you're doing today, I think, is kind of fun. Remember page 10 that you did yesterday, where you drew your picture in the box. You didn't do any writing yet. Well, today for your must do, it says you're going to finish this page by writing if your prediction drawing was correct or incorrect. Now, I know I would have not been able to predict that Jack and Annie would meet a Maasai warrior and make peanut butter sandwiches. So don't feel bad if your prediction was not correct, because who would have known? This book kind of surprised us, right? Now, you're supposed to start your words on this page with the words, "My prediction was correct because," or "My prediction was incorrect because." And I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines. So you don't need to just write one sentence. You can add some more to it. Tell maybe why there was something surprising in the chapter. Or maybe say something you learned about the bird, the honey guide. Or maybe you can say something about the feelings that Jack and Annie had during this chapter. So I would love to see you fill up all 5 lines. And I made an activity on Seesaw again for today. So you have to go to Seesaw and find Lions at Lunchtime 4-28. And that is where you need to click to respond to the activity I made and show me your work today. So that's what you can do for reading today. And now we will do some math. It is time for math, and we will begin by checking our answers from your assignment yesterday. Number 4, what color hair do 5 students have? Your answer is brown. Number 5, what color hair do 4 students have? Your answer is blonde. Number 6, what 2 hair colors do the same number of students have? Black and red, or red and black. Number 7, how many students were surveyed? Count all the boxes, you would get 15. How would this graph change if 20 students took the survey? Some or all of the bars would be longer because you would be filling in more boxes. And our second bar graph is about pets. Number 9, which pet do most students have? Dog. Number 10, which 2 pets do the fewest students have? Cat and bird. Number 11, how many students have cats and birds? That would be 3 plus 3, so you would get 6. Pretty easy for you smarties. Let's go on the back. How many more, ding, 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 subtract, right? How many more people like reading or board games than playing video games? So you had to add up reading or board games, so that's 4 plus 2, and you get 6. You compare that to video games, so 6 minus 3 is 3. So your answer is 3. Now, the 2 brain builders were, if you wish, you could do those. So you should have looked at number 13 if you felt like doing that one. Samantha also chooses an activity. Then 3 activities are the favorite of the same number of people. Which activity did she choose? So to make 3 the same, there's already 2 the same that are 4. So to make 3 the same, she must have picked video games. Video games. And number 14, this is kind of a long answer. 10 more people were surveyed for the graph above. 3 more people like board games, so you would add those 3 boxes to board games. 3 more people like video games, the rest like playing outside. Now how many people like each activity? So you should have written 6 people like video games, 8 people like playing outside, 4 people like reading, and 5 people like board games. So let's look at our lesson for today. Today you are going to learn about something new, and it might be something you have not heard of before. It is called a line plot, and lesson 7 is make line plots. Remember our essential question, how can I record and analyze our data? Well, guess what? Here's another way. It's called a line plot. It is a way to organize data. And here's what a line plot is. It is a number line that has X's above it to stand for the answers to a survey question. So we're going to do one together. So get out page 567. If you need to pause the video, pause it and get what you need. Okay, so we're going to follow these directions. Remember, a line plot is a number line. It has X's above it to stand for the answers to a survey question. The survey question for this line plot is, how many servings of fruits and vegetables do you have each day? So we're going to pretend a boy named Chase asked 10 students how many servings of fruits and vegetables they eat each day. And 3 people said they eat 2. So above the number 2, we are going to draw an X to represent each person. Now it's very important that you make all your X's about the same size, because it will help us to show the data better if they're all the same size. So please draw 3 X's about the same size above the number 2. Then, when he asked people how many servings of fruits and vegetables they eat, 6 people said, I have 5 servings. That's pretty healthy. 6 people said they have 5 servings. So above 5, we are going to draw an X for each person who said they have 5 fruits or vegetables each day. And 6 people said that. So we're going to draw 6. Now I'm trying to make them the same size. Okay, so do you see the taller the line of X's are, the more there are. It's kind of like the bar graph when we said the taller the bar, the more there are. The taller the X's, the more there are. It just doesn't rhyme as well, does it? And one person really likes to eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. And they have 7 servings. So we are going to draw 1X to represent that person who has 7 servings. And that is a line plot. You can look quickly and see how your data is organized. You can quickly see that nobody said they have 10 servings a day. Nobody said 4 or 3 or 6 or 8 or 9 or 0 or 1 either. You can quickly see that by looking at the line plot. You can quickly see that 3 people said they eat 2 servings of fruits and vegetables each day. So that is another way to record and analyze data, a line plot. So let's go to the back. Read this with me. A line plot is a way to organize data. Line plots are used to see how often a certain number occurs in the data. Mr. Sun's students marked their ages on a tally chart. They made a line plot using the data. So, age 7. 3 students are age 7. So draw these with me. We're going to draw 3 X's. I see them there already. There we go. So 3 X's. He has 5 students that are age 8. So we're going to trace the X's. Notice they're all the same size. It's hard to make it perfect, but you want to do as best as you can. And then he has 2 students that are age 9. Try to make them the same size. That's a better way to represent the data then. And he has 0 students that are 10. He does not have any students that are 6 or 5 or 4 or 3 or 2 or 1 or younger than 1. So you see the data. Now here is your job for today. Let's look. You are to do guided practice numbers 1 and 2 on page 568 of your math packet. Tell a family member your answer to the Talk Math question. So you only have 3 things to do. You are going to look at this tally chart and make a line plot. You are going to look at this tally chart and make a line plot. And then I want you to think about this question. How are line plots similar to tally charts? So similar is the same. How are line plots similar to tally charts? How are they alike? Tell someone in your family that answer. And we will check your work tomorrow. Enjoy the day. We'll see you tomorrow.